Yeah, I lied. I made you stand up on the last one. I just want to make sure everyone's awake. Why are you here? You know, I spent all week, I'm going to confess, ministers get a little stressed out over Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve and Easter, we consider those like the big party conference speeches of the year. And as I was getting ready for Christmas Eve, visiting my own family and doing all the Christmas craziness that we're supposed to be doing, I kept thinking, why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why are we here in the middle of the night? It's freezing, but we're here. We drove here in drifting snow and plows throwing salt at our windows, and here we are. Why is it? Why is it that people are gathering in churches all over the world right now? Why is it that people are logging into our Zoom service from various places? Why? Is it really just so you can sing Silent Night and hold candles and talk about peace for a little while and think things are okay? Is it just to hear the story? The story, you know, spoiler alert, it's the same story. Is it to fulfill some sense of obligation? Did your spouse make you come here? Your parents or your grandparents, did they force you to come here? If you're one of those, we're almost done, don't worry. Is it just tradition? Is it just habit? Is it something people do? Why? I can't answer that for you, by the way, and I'm not going to make you give me an answer, which I'm sure you'll be thankful for. I happen to believe that there's a little more to it than that. I happen to believe that there's something about this Christmas story, there's something about this Christmas experience that speaks to a deeper part of us. And I happen to also believe that there is nothing silent about Christmas Eve. This is not a silent night. It wasn't a silent night then. It's not a silent night now. There's nothing subtle about Christmas Eve. As much as we like to put pastoral pictures on Hallmark cards of Mary holding a baby that seems to never cry, which is insane. Babies cry. But what brings us here is perhaps not as easily defined as the things we like to put out there, the things that we can grasp and the things that we can understand. Perhaps there is just something inside the human heart or the human soul, something that we need, something that can only be found in this particular moment, in this particular story, at this particular time. Something that for some reason can only be found in a manger hundreds and thousands of miles away, centuries and centuries ago. Forgot my camera angle, sorry. Perhaps it's something so much bigger than us, so much stronger than us, so much more powerful than us, something so meaningful, something that simply can't be contained by all those centuries and all those miles. Perhaps as we journey in this cold, dark night to this little country church, we are actually trying our best to travel towards something bigger and brighter and more secure than the darkness or the cold of the world that we are journeying through together. Because tonight, on this night, an anomaly has appeared. Something strange is happening. A light has begun to shine in the darkness. A star has started to appear out of nowhere. A sign, a symbol of a new and miraculous hope that is being born in the chilly night of the desert, in the dim glow of a manger, in a bed of straw. Suddenly, a tiny voice is heard. An infant crying out into the night. A child born to a virgin mother. A nobody, an unknown woman. A lowly woman. asked to bring a child into the world at the risk of her own safety, at the risk of everything that gave her any sense of security. And this one brave woman said yes to the call of God to do this. With fearless faith, she said yes to the will of God. But this is no ordinary baby. The baby will be called Emmanuel. He will be called God with us. This child is the love of God that is so strong for you. The love of God that cares so deeply for you that it took on flesh, came to this earth and walked among you. This child is the love of God that became so powerful that it breathed and it grew and it walked and it taught and it healed and it sought out the souls of men and women alike. This child is the grace of God alive, the mercy of God breathing in our midst, the healing and the caring and the teaching and the liberation of God with legs and arms and a face. And this child will grow up to sacrifice everything to save us from our own brokenness, from our own sin. And this child born in Bethlehem so many centuries ago did not enter into a silent night. The Jesus born in Bethlehem was born into a world of chaos and complexity, of noise and mess, a place of fear and brokenness and sin, a world where inequality was running rampant and injustice was unbridled, a world ruled by warring empires. A world ruled by might and power alone. A world where wealth mattered more than human dignity. And a place where hypocrisy and hard-hearted hunger for power corrupted nations and temples alike, all at the expense of the suffering poor. And among that suffering poor, Jesus Christ was born in a barn, next to the livestock. Jesus, made a homeless refugee, would walk the world as a poor man, a persecuted man. And so before we sing Silent Night, which we will do, don't worry, let's remember that the child born into the world on Christmas was not born into a silent place, and certainly did not come quietly into that place. Because beyond the stillness of the manger, beyond the comfort of his mother's arms and the watchful gaze of Joseph, the world that baby entered was a tumultuous place. Beyond the stillness of that manger, the powerful and the corrupt and the hateful and the unjust were shaken to their core by the arrival of this child who came to change everything. The very foundations of the world shook when the first cries of the Christ child echoed through the night. A new way was born. A new world was born. A new humanity, a new holiness, a new revelation was born. And to the ears of those who perpetuate injustice, who traffic in cruelty, who profit from division, every single borning cry was a searing reminder that the way things were, the way things are, cannot, would not, and will not last. Evil had met its match in the body of an infant. Sin was on borrowed time because of the cries of a baby. And the systems and the structures of human selfishness are already beginning to crumble under the weight of the salvation that came with that child. That is why we are here. That is what we need. That is what leads us to this place at this time on this night We have come to recognize over centuries and miles of time and space that this silent night, this peaceful time that we want so badly, only comes in the thunderous and trembling aftershock of the birth of this Christ child. We have not come to this little country church to be lulled to sleep. We have been brought here to be awakened to a new and lasting promise of a world turned upside down, a world made more whole and more holy, more just and more fair and more friendly. We have come here because we too want to hear not the silence, but the cries of that infant echoing in the night. We want to hear the voice of God among us. We want to hear those cries and understand them as a fulfillment of a promise that began generations ago. We want to hear in those cries the steadfast love of God, the love of God that was spoken by prophets, sung by psalmists, and prophesied by Mary herself. Love made flesh in Jesus Christ. Love coming down from heaven to be born in a barn. Love that grew and walked and thought and talked. Love that healed the broken and the sick. Love that saw the unseen, gave voice to the voiceless, gave justice to the oppressed. Love that transformed the human future into something of hope and brilliance. Love that would give everything to save us from ourselves. And if you listen, you'll hear them, the cries of that infant as they echo through the night. If you listen closely, you will hear them, and in them you will hear the hope that you need. You will hear the words of love that we seek, and you will hear the words of justice that you long for, and you will hear the words of fairness and equity, and you will hear the voice of the one who will accept you when nobody else will. The voice of the one who will accept you when the world has refused you. No matter who you are, no matter where you have come from, no matter what you are or what you have been called, no matter your status or your identity, your race or your face, no matter who you love or what you believe or what you have or have not done, no matter what sorrow you carry to this place or what brokenness may weigh you down in this moment, that child cries out in the night for you. That child cries with you. And that child cries to you. We are here because we are on a journey. We are imperfect, God knows. Imperfect and beloved all the same. Beautiful in ways in our brokenness. On this journey together toward a kingdom yet to be realized, a kingdom that we can indeed begin building now, in this time and this space, right here, right now, this night begins the work of building that kingdom. Jesus was not born to end the story. Jesus was born to begin the story. It is the start of the journey, not the end of the journey. The kingdom still waits. The kingdom still waits for us to build pieces of it right here in our own space and time, right here for our own neighbors. This is a night for us to remember that we are part of a larger creation. We are citizens of a holy place. You and I are walking miracles. And if you don't believe in miracles, you need not look any further than your own mirror, because you are one. Everything about you, beautiful and beloved, miraculous and wonderful. So loved, so deeply loved, that God came to earth this very night to save and redeem and restore you. And so it is that on this night, as we listen to the cries of the Christ child, let us respond to the call of that child. Let us respond to the calls of Jesus by giving up our fear, by surrendering our greed and our grudges, by forgetting our reasons to divide one another or despise one another. And let us instead hear the call to love, the call to be a people of peace and joy, the call to be a people of bigger things and greater things and lighter things, the call to embrace mercy. Because tonight, a light is shining in the darkness and the darkness cannot overcome it. That light, my friends, never goes out. Seek it and you will find it. Reach out your hand and you will hold it. And as you hold it, carry it. Carry it into the places you go. Take it to the dark places and the scary places, and let it shine loudly in your heart and in the hearts of those you love. On this night, a Savior has been born. Born for you and for me. Born for every single one of us. There's nothing quiet about that. Amen.